So this is something that I always ask myself when I need to make a big decision, because I think it guides my decision making. If I was a main character in a movie about my life, what would the audience be screaming at me right now? So I think this line of thinking, what it does, it separates you from your situation, and it gives you some space to think objectively about, is this what I want to be doing right now? Is this the decision that I want to be taking? Because when you are in the thick of things, sometimes you don't know, you're too caught up with what's going on to make the quote unquote best outcome for yourself. For example, you could be in a job that you dislike, but you don't give yourself the space and time to think whether this is something you want or not, and you just end up spending so much time on it, and you don't stop and think, like, is this really what I want to be doing? If people were watching me, if I were watching me from the perspective of an audience member watching a movie, what would I be screaming at myself to do? In those horror movies, when you see like the people want to investigate the noise, you're like, oh my god, you're so dumb. Why do you want to go where the noise is? Run away. Yeah, put yourself in that perspective. Oh my god, why are you still doing this job? Why haven't you run away from the job yet? Why haven't you made this other decision that would clearly make you so much happier? When you create that space between your being in the situation and making the decision, you're able to look at things more objectively and make a better decision for yourself. I think this applies in a lot of big decisions, and one thing people might say in response might be, oh, but I need to think through the decision. I need to think through and make sure that it's the right decision that I'm making. I need to make sure that this can work out. Yes, that's true, but I think that in a lot of these cases, you need to make sure that you're in the right direction in the first place, and however you make it work out, you can figure it out on your own. You don't want to be spending 10 years climbing a mountain only to look across and see another mountain and be like, oh, actually I wanted to climb that mountain. Then you're going to have to climb down the mountain and climb back up the other mountain. If you can spot it earlier, wouldn't it be better? Don't play games that you don't want to win at. Make sure that the reward from the game that you're playing is something that you want. So every once in a while, if I'm faced with a tough decision, if I'm at a crossroads in my life, I ask myself, what would the audience of a movie about my life, what would they be screaming at me right now? Because I don't want to go 10 years, 20 years down the road and be like thinking, oh, this is actually not where I want to be, It's the same thing even in your relationship, even in anything you do. Don't play games that you don't want to win at. So I think it's really important my main point I'm trying to make is make sure that you are going down a path that you want to be taking. And this question that you ask yourself is one way to create that space and think for yourself. It's a fancy way of just saying you need to be able to objectively look at the situation. It's like, I think it's called the King Solomon's effect, where there's a story about a king who is able to give people really good advice. He's able to give his friends, his family really good advice, but when it comes to his personal life, he's horrible at it. You might be really good at giving people advice, but when it comes to your own life, you suck at it, and you don't know why. And this is why, because for some reason, creating that space, creating that detachment gives you a more objective lens of how you view your problems. And I think that it's something that people need to realize more often than not. Sometimes you say like, I know what I'm doing. I know this is the best decision for me, but they feel like it's like a sunk cost. Like I've already given so much to this decision. I have to see it through. No, you can change your mind when you want. Your goals can change. Your life can change. No one's going to fault you for wanting change halfway. That's what happens, especially in this day and age where things happen so quickly, technology advances. Sometimes it's nice to think that I'm planning 5-10 years ahead, but realistically, if the tides change, you're going to have to change with the tide. So don't be afraid to make change. Make sure you're down the right path, and make sure that you are playing a game that you want to win. Create that detachment. Ask yourself, if I were the main character of a movie about my life, what would the audience be screaming at me right now? Scream that at yourself to make the decision, take the leap, to make the change, and make sure you're going down the right path. Yeah. All right. Thanks. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope this video resonated with you, and if so, you can like, subscribe, and comment. Okay, thanks.